So we have implemented the login and logout. But when we log in, I don't want to see this login link again. And also when we log out, we shouldn't see the admin and logout links. So let me show you how to implement this. Here in our service, we have this method is logged in, which is currently returning false. Now, instead, we want to get our token, decode it, get its expiration date, and if it's not expired, that means the user is logged in. So in other words, if we have a token, a valid token in local storage, and this token is not expired, that means the user is logged in, and here we should return true. Otherwise, we should return false. Now, as I told you earlier, in order to work with JSON Web Tokens, we're going to use one of the libraries on jwt.io. So in Angular applications, we need to install a library called Angular2-jwt. So open up the terminal and install Angular2-jwt, and be sure to add the save flag. All right, beautiful. Now back here, I'm going to create an object called JWT helper and set it to a new instance of JWT helper class that is defined in Angular2-jwt. So if you scroll to the top, look, you can see this class is defined in Angular2-jwt. Now back to our method. This JWT helper has a bunch of useful methods. You've got decode token, get token expiration date, is token expired, and URL base 64 decode. Let's try a couple of these methods. Get token expiration date. So as the argument here, we need to pass our token. So first I'm going to get our token from the local storage.get item of token. Now we pass this here and store the result in a variable called expiration date. Also, similarly, I'm going to define another variable is expired and set it to JWT helper dot is token expired. And again, here we pass our token. Now let's log these values in the console. So console.log expiration. Here we pass expiration date, duplicate, and is expired. Now I'm going to use this method in the template for our home component. So here, I want to render these links dynamically. So on this li, I'm going to apply the ngIf directive. I want to render the admin link if the user is logged in. So if our service dot is logged in. Let's test this. So back in the browser, if you look at the application tab, you can see currently I don't have a token. And also we have two errors here. So let's take a look at the console. Cannot read property split of null. So here back in our service, when we get the token from local storage, before we pass it to the methods of JWT helper, we need to check to see if it's null or not. So if token is falsy, here we want to return false. Okay. Otherwise, we're going to get the expiration date and also to see if the token is expired or not. So finally, instead of returning false, we want to return not is expired. So if the token is not expired, that means the user is logged in. Okay, let's test the application. So the error is gone. Now back on this page, the admin link is not visible because I don't have a token. Let me log in. Now we can see the admin link. Beautiful. Let's take a look at the console. So you can see this token that I got from jwt.io doesn't have an expiration date. But when you generate tokens on the server using one of the libraries provided by jwt.io, you can set an expiration date on your tokens. Okay? So back in our service, I'm going to delete these two console log statements. This is the implementation of is logged in, but there is an easier and cleaner way to implement this method. Instead of writing all this code, we can use one of the global helper functions provided by Angular 2-JWT. So that function is called token not expired. And this function does exactly what we have done here. So it extracts a token by this name from the local storage. It checks to see if the token is falsy. Then it looks at its expiration date and returns a Boolean. So here we can simply return token not expired. So if the token is not expired, the user is logged in. And then we can delete all this code. I just wanted you to have a better understanding of what happens under the hood, okay? Now let's go back to our home component and finish up this lecture. So I'm going to duplicate this ngIf a couple of times. For the login link, I'm going to apply the not operator here. So I want to render this link if the user is not logged in. And finally, for the logout, we want to render this link if the user is logged in. Let's test the application. So currently I'm logged in, and that's why we have these two links here. If I log out, we see only the login link. Let me log in one more time. And again, we have admin and logout. So this is how you can show or hide certain elements on a page depending on the authentication status of the current user.